Imagine with me that you're in a journey, and this journey is in a desert, and this desert has a scorching sun that is making this journey of yours unbearable. Now, that was me 3 years ago. My name is Etemesi Ochola. 37 years ago, I was born with sickle cell anemia. And by the time I was named, after 7 years of being born, I was diagnosed with sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell is a blood condition that affects the red blood cells. And in sickle cell, the red blood cells are sickle in shape, not the round concave shape that we are used to. This means that when you transport oxygen to various organs and tissue, they tend to block the arteries and veins, resulting into excruciating pain for me. And I have been in pain year out, year in, every month, every time. Even in a day, I can wake up, morning I'm well, but in the afternoon, I'm in pain. So 3 years ago, I developed a mechanism to cope with this pain, or actually to prevent myself from this excruciating pain. And this mechanism, in my wisdom, was the use of pain medication. I started with normal pain medication, and my body slowly tolerated them. And I gradually graduated to a more stronger pain medication for my body. And this pain medication was pethidine. Pethidine is an opioid pain medication. And with time, my body got over-dependent on this pethidine. I lost relationship because I used to borrow people money. I lost my source of work. I was a minister of the word, and I approached the elders and asked them for help because I was in a bad state. And in their wisdom, they saw it fit for me to step down so that I can get help. So I stepped down and I lost my job. And also relationship with family strained, relationship with close members of family strained because of pethidine. So I cried for help. And the first help I got was in this mental institution that had methadone program. Now, methadone program helped, or was found to help people who have an opioid dependency. And in that case, I was one of the candidates of this methadone clinic. So I started methadone, but with time, the methadone did not work for me. And I went to another. I dropped out from methadone clinic and went to another help. And the second help came from a rehabilitation center that tried cold turkey kind of therapy on me. Cold turkey is being locked out from accessing pethidine and just putting my body to this abrupt stop of pethidine. And it didn't work for me. I was in excruciating pain. I started conversing, something that I've never had experience ever in my life. I started conversing. I started crying. The pain became more and more. So this second help, unfortunately, they said they can't handle me, and I dropped out after 8 days. I went to the third help, and this third help was hospital setup. Found a very good doctor who started by tampering down this pethidine. But unfortunately, he used the pethidine medication to tamper pethidine. And this resulted to an urge. I felt more urge to use pethidine. There was more thirst to use pethidine. So I opted out because it was not helping me. Now, we went back to the drawing board. This time I was dejected. I was sad. I was hopeless. I was sad and hopeless because one of the patients who had sickle cell anemia, just like me, and who also had the same dependency on pethidine, succumbed to pethidine at a time when I was admitted at rehab. So the drawing board was not easy. I felt sad and all that. Now I gathered a team, and this team proposed that first let us get to know if your organs are okay. So we went through this lab, and in the process of getting my organs being checked, we shared our challenges, and this lady, who was the staff of this lab, referred us to a very good doctor who had an experienced patient with the same issue, and he had helped him come out. And out of that, we went and booked an appointment with this doctor, and he gladly accepted to help us. And he sent us to Oasis, where we'll get admission. And reaching Oasis, I was received by this wonderful doctor, Dr. Margaret. Dr. Margaret, when she saw me, she was excited, and we just clicked. And I introduced myself as a minister of the word, and she was excited. And I told her my issue, and she assured me that my issue did not come from a place of moral breakdown or integrity issue, but came from a place of pain, which was caused by sickle cell anemia. And she understood that the pain medication didn't help that much, and I graduated to this serious pethidine medication. And we did a mental assessment, and I was found that I had depression and anxiety. And she admitted me. The first 3 days was tough. I was in pain, I was convulsing, I was in and out of oxygen, I was being resuscitated. At some point, the doctor thought that I would not make it. On the second day of my admission, I got a visitor in my room. A gentleman walked in my room where he had a lab coat on, so I thought it was a medic. I presumed he was a medic. And I expected questions, medical questions. But what proceeded from his mouth was, if he can pray with me. And yes, I was surprised, obvious, but accepted. The prayer ushered me into a new phase of my life, a phase of peace, a phase of healing. We started working with this doctor. He introduced himself as a spiritual therapist. So we started working with him, and we discovered even the fear of pain the addiction of painkiller came from the fear of pain. And this fear of pain was the one that was the main issue. And we looked at fear on the biblical perspective and also on my perspective. In the spiritual therapy, it created an urge for me to study the word. And the word that spoke to me at Oasis was Matthew chapter 4 onwards. Matthew chapter 4, from verse 12, I learned that Jesus came out of wilderness. And in this wilderness, there was two things that was happening. First, there was a need in Capernaum. Second, there was a need in the family because his cousin John the Baptist was arrested. But Jesus chose to go to Capernaum. Isaiah 9 says Capernaum were people who were living in great darkness. But Isaiah assured them that there will come a time when they'll see this light. And Jesus went to Capernaum. And Capernaum, I learned that from chapter 8, I learned that Jesus is willing to heal my disease, just like a man who had leprosy. He's willing to send his word to heal my disease also, just as the centurion soldier asked Jesus to heal his servant. And in Capernaum, I also learned that Jesus is always present in my situation. At Oasis, my treatment had loss of incorporation. There was addiction therapy that helped me come out of the urge of pethidine. There was a music therapy that, when it was done, I felt like as if it's like a spirit that moved out of me, and a spirit of peace came upon me. That was a very good or a wonderful work of the music therapy. I started by saying that imagine yourself walking in a desert, and this desert has a scorching sun. Now imagine with me, while you are at the point of giving up in this journey, you spot an oasis, and you gather all the energy that you have left with and all the energy you have, and you run towards the oasis. And you don't care if the oasis has clean water or dirty water or salty water or fresh water. All you want to be refreshed, to be revived, and to be healed. That is what oasis did to me. I've found refreshment. I found revival at Oasis. Thank you so much.